at the end of the day, if I can, end my career as a Stanley Cup champion, it's all worth it, and that's the goal.
We said after we had this guy on like a month ago, we would definitely have him back on. We didn't think it would be so quickly after, but Taylor Hall, welcome back to What Chaos.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Circumstances a little strange. We know that you're a huge hockey fan and that you keep up with everything. So did you find out in real time via Twitter like everyone else? Were you, because like you were the first name in this trade that got out. People were like, Taylor Hall's getting traded. Did you know that it was going to be this massive?
No, I didn't. I knew that I would be traded to Carolina, and there was a bit of a stall in the just the finality of the trade, and now I know why. It was because Miko was a part of it, and there was a lot of moving pieces. So happy to be here. Happy to be on a team that has a legitimate chance at a Stanley Cup, and to be just in the midst of a playoff run and playing important games is a lot of fun.
How exhausting has like the last 48 hours or whatever it is, that whirlwind, been for you?
Not too bad. I kind of knew it was coming, so I can't really say that it's been too bad. We had an off day yesterday, so I watched a lot of football and just hung out. I haven't really played much hockey in the last week, to be honest. My last game with Chicago was against Carolina on Monday, so I've had a lot of days without games. So I'm doing all right.
I have to. Are you a Sabre? Or I'm sorry, are you a Bills fan?
I'm not a Sabres fan.
I didn't need to do that.
I'm glad you said it, so we didn't have to.
No, I mean, I cheer for the Bills. I'd like them to do well. A lot of my friends are Bills fans from Toronto, but I'm kind of indifferent. I would love to see someone else other than Kansas City in the Super Bowl, but you can't deny what they're doing is incredible, and they just don't make any mistakes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think it didn't work out this year? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the team with the Blackhawks this season.
I don't know. There's a lot of things. We didn't have a good enough start to the year, and we were behind the eight ball, and it didn't seem like we had the team that could recover from that. And unfortunately, this is what happens. Players get traded, guys get shipped off, and they accelerate their. They just want to get young guys playing and get them in the lineup, and that's kind of just what happens when a team loses. So I felt like my future there wasn't going to last much longer. I tried my best to make it work, but I'm excited to be where I am now.
Yeah, you said recently that like you would have liked to stay in Chicago, but knew that it probably wasn't in the cards for you. Did you look like across the league at teams that might be interested in you, and did you identify Carolina as possibly being one of those teams?
Pretty much, yeah. I started having some conversations with my agent, and we were just kind of chatting about different places that I could end up. I did want to stay in Chicago, but they didn't. I don't think that they want too many older players with term. They want to go young, probably even younger next year, and that's not something that I want to do anymore. I want to be on a team that's got a legitimate playoff chance, and they're thinking about winning a Stanley Cup. So Carolina checks those boxes, and they have a culture in place, a head coach that's been here for a while, and I'm excited to just keep going with this, get used to it even more, and hopefully, in the next couple weeks here, I'm settled in and I can just not really think when I'm play instinctually, and really try and make an impact.
That team rocks, and it's usually when you get traded, and I'm not saying you specifically, but like when like a big name player gets traded, that's kind of it. You go with Rantanen to a team that is already super exciting. When this deal goes down, how much does your mindset change to like, okay, like now I'm back into cup mode?
No, for sure. It for lack of a better word, it's just exciting. And to be able to join a team, a little bit before the deadline gives you just more chance to get used to everything, get used to the city, the team, the structure, everything. So I think that's a really good move that they did, along with me and Rance, is just getting us in here early before the Four Nations, before bye week, and really let us get settled before the stretch run. So, I you never know how a contract year is going to go, and you never know what's going to happen. But I did know that if it didn't work out in Chicago, I was probably going to be joining a team that has Stanley Cup aspirations, and that's what we have here.
We know you to be a bit of an analytics guy, or a guy that at least pays attention or is aware of them. Is it exciting to you to be part of such like an analytics forward team, and a team that like is such a good performer in that realm?
It is, and I think that's why they wanted me. I think they value certain things that I do, and I don't think that Chicago, maybe valued some of those things as much as Carolina does. I'm pretty good puck transporter and a good playmaker. It's a little bit unusual for a winger to be like that, but it seems like they value that here, and just the way they play is super aggressive in your face, and it requires a lot of really good skaters on the team, which I do well. So I think it's a really good fit. That's what excited me too, is the style that they play and what Rod has brought to the team. I think I'm going to get used to things pretty quickly.
They have the most aggressive in your face player in the league, and he's a goalie named Pyotr Kochetkov. Have you ever played with a goalie like that?
No, I mean, I heard about it, all the poke checks, and then I saw it today in practice too. Actually, the guys were saying if you put your head down for a second, he's just going to poke check you. So it's a good tool. It's not something you see a lot, but he does it well.
You're a basketball guy. The way we describe him is he wants the rock. He's the only goalie in
Yeah,
the NHL who's like, give me the fucking ball. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm getting that thing. Like John Van Beesbrook
yeah.
back in the day. Just
He
come out
made
and get
a
it.
he made a few plays last night. He like a 80-foot saucer pass a couple times. It was awesome.
He's electric. He really is. He's the most electric
Yeah.
goalie. Outside of him and perhaps Miko, who are you most excited to be teammates with in Carolina?
There's a lot of guys. I mean, you see a guy like Seth Jarvis get named to the Four Nations team for Canada as such a young player, and just watching him for a couple of days, he's got some wheels and he's got a lot of skill. Aho is a player that's been so good in the league for a while now. Svechnikov, just a big dude that can skate and stick handle and play well. There's a lot of guys, so deep team, and that's what you need this time of year.
I don't want to lead you too much, but an obvious question is, are you sick of being traded? And I would think, and now I'm going to be a bad host and lead you. I would think a player who's accomplished what you've accomplished would be like, trade me a million fucking times if I get to win the cup.
Yeah, I never thought I'd play on this many teams. Obviously, COVID kind of messed everything up. I was becoming a free agent right when COVID hits, so I take a 1 year, and then it just kind of it's the way it goes. I get traded from Boston for cap reasons. They're up against it, and Chicago didn't have to make them retain any salary or anything like that. And then now I'm here. So um, I've thought about it a lot. It's like, how did I really get here? But at the same time, it's in the past, and I'm really, focused on making it work here, and hopefully I'm here for a while. Um, but I take a lot of really good things from it. I've met a lot of teammates, a lot of coaches, a lot of training staff, medical staff, flight attendants. Everything has kind of forced me to grow up a lot and quickly when you play on that many teams in a short amount of time. And then you just kind of know what you can bring to a situation. I've done this before. So at the end of the day, if I can, end my career as a Stanley Cup champion. It's all worth it, and that's the goal.
Do players care about like what they traded for? Because there's been a few times over the course of your career that people thought that you might fetch more, and I think a lot of people questioned what Chicago's role was in brokering this deal. So, like, do players think about that at all?
I didn't even know what I was traded for until I kind of saw it an hour later. It doesn't really matter to me. I think Chicago wanted to get me not like out of town, but I think they want to go young and they want to play their young guys this year. And me being on the team is a player that they have to play and give minutes to. So Kyle said right away to my agent that they weren't going to, try and be stingy. So they did me a solid there, and I'm here now. So it is what it is.
How do you look at that? I mean, I know it's not your quote unquote problem anymore, for lack of a better term, but like Kyle Davidson has to figure out which of these guys to keep and where to go from here. Like, it's not like, hey, make one move involving Taylor Hall and then you're all done. Do you think that team has the bones of something that can be something really good, or is it just pretty much try to throw the baby out with the bathwater?
No, there's some really good players there, and there's some really good kids that love hockey and want to get better. I think they have some D-man that are really solid. Crevier, Nolan Allen, Kaiser, Vlasic. Um, there's some guys there, and there's some really good building blocks. So, I mean, I don't know the direction that Kyle's going to go. Kyle's a great dude and a smart guy. So, but it's going to take a while. I think that's the thing is, I don't. I would have liked to stay there, but just because I like the city and I like the guys on the team and all that, but to go through a rebuild like they're probably going to have to keep doing is it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, and that's going to be a situation that needs the right people in place, and hopefully they do that. I think a lot of the guys in that room, I can't wait to see them in a couple days here and catch up with them.
You were able to anticipate that you were going to be moved because of just where you were in your contract, but was that a mindset shared by really all veterans? We're hearing stuff about Seth Jones, who's got term on his contract. Like, do all the veterans on that team basically at least consider, like, hey, you never know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I think they're probably just taking it day by day, and everyone loves being a Blackhawk, but it's a business. I'm an example of that, just with how many teams I've been on, and you got to do what's best for you in your career. So you always have to factor that in.
As you get ready for like a playoff run this year, do you take anything with you now based off of like where you've been there before in the past? Because like we talked about the Bruins run and how that flamed out and it was disappointing. Like, is there anything that you're going to take new into this playoff run that you didn't before?
Well, I'm not going to take anything for granted, and certainly not a 3-1 series lead. But no, I just you take playoff experience, and the guys here have had a lot of it. They've been close. They've been in the conference finals. So um, every year is different. I do feel comfortable playing in the playoffs now because I've been there a few years. When you kind of start your career out and the first 7 years you're not in the playoffs, it takes a while to get used to that feeling, to get used to playing in April and just the competitiveness and how hard the games are. I know that feeling now, so I can't wait to get back there and just a deep playoff run. It would be just so fun. I got a lot of hockey left. I basically had a whole year off last year, so I'm fresh as a daisy, and I'm excited to get to that point.
I talked about and we talked about the getting traded thing, but as you enter a latter stage of your career, do you want that to be done? Like, you're about to hit free agency, and obviously, as you said, the last time you hit free agency, it was kind of wonky. Or I guess you re-signed with Boston, but like when you were like actually on the market. So do you want to ideally just like get somewhere, stay somewhere, and then hopefully contend?
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see how things work out, but I'm kind of tired of switching teams. Me and my wife would love to find a spot and settle down, but um, and hopefully that's Carolina here. I think we're definitely very open to that possibility of staying here, and that's really the mindset that you have to have when you join a team at this point in the season, is that you're going to be here for a while and you really have to invest yourself, and that's what I'm doing.
I'm sorry that I accidentally gave you that sound clip because everyone is going to use "I am not a Sabres fan," like for all of, including our producer Sean, who is a Sabres fan.
Out of context.
Yeah.
I do
It's
have
all
to
good.
ask. Can you rank for me like the times that you've been traded by the enjoyability of those times?
I think, well, I've been traded, the
5 times.
enjoyability is 5 times. I mean, going from Buffalo to Boston, that was a nice one, just because I was so excited to join the Bruins, and what they have there, and I feel similarly about this time. It's, you almost kind of feel like you're cheating the system a little bit by going from kind of the bottom of the league to one of the top teams. So
Is it like survivor's
it is
guilt?
what it is. I don't want to sound like embarrassed about being traded, because they require a lot of context, all the situations, but it is crazy that I've been on 7 teams. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's yeah.
But I don't think like
remember
anybody looks at you as it's like, oh, he's bouncing around like nobody wants this guy. It's just like you've just been in like weird spots a lot, and there are always teams
yeah,
that do covet you.
that's how I feel. And like I'm so lucky. I have a great wife who's like always down for another experience in another city. So that makes it a lot easier. But yeah, it's just strange how things work out, and it's a good lesson for anyone really. Like, your career never really goes how you think it's going to go, and like, no matter how high you get drafted or what team you're on, like, this is such a business, and it's even more of a business than when I came into the league now.
but you've played how many games? You've played what, 900 games, something like that?
Yeah, getting close to 900. Yeah.
So if you were like, I mean, I remember when you were drafted and all the talk about like what Taylor Hall is going to build in Edmonton, all the, if you were to say in that moment, okay, we're going to get to 2025, he'll have played about 900 games, he'll have won a Hart, you'd be like, this sounds about like what the plan was. And then once you zoom in and you start to kind of read each paragraph, you'd be like, what? What
Yeah.
happened in Buffalo? Like all these things. So it's just been, I don't know, I guess like the devil's in the details. But when you zoom out, honestly, I think it's kind of like you've had an awesome career. There's just been
Yeah.
some funny things that have happened.
I know, and if you could add a Stanley Cup at the end of it, you'd be like, I don't care what the details are. That's a pretty good career. So that's the plan.
You are becoming you're very high on the
Would like to see him win a cup.
would
list.
like to see this guy win one. I'm sure
Nice.
that you're probably high on your own list for that, but you at this
And nobody
Yeah.
ever wants. I feel like no player ever wants to be on that list because it's always exclusively comprised of guys who just haven't won, and like they don't want to be on that list. You don't want to be like, I'm rooting for this guy to win the cup, but you're there, man.
and
Hate
there's
to say
pity,
it.
but I would give you a pity cup like right now. Yeah, and I'm sure you would take like if someone was like,
Oh, for
here you go,
sure.
you'd be like,
Yeah, 100%. I'm in.
all right. Well, I mean, I remember last year we had Sebastian Aho on about this time, and we were like, you guys might win the Stanley Cup. And he was like, shut up. Don't want to talk about that. But really, we've felt good about the Hurricanes all year. So this move obviously only makes them all the more exciting. Hope you enjoy the stretch run, man. And we will absolutely be rooting for you to win a well-deserved Stanley Cup.
Thanks, boys. I really appreciate that. Good chatting with you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.